Hi, I'm Rochelle Potkar, and I will be talking to my fellow writer, and I hope you're listening in. We are doing this from a podcast in Chennai on the terrace of the Avtara Apartments, Wheatcroft Road. But once you listen to us, I'm sure time space will not matter. What about your approaches to the different forms of writing?
The different forms I discovered because, as you said, I also, have the whole fiction thing. And that can take many forms.
Yes.
And then I started also to write nonfiction because I wanted to make a book about the communication in around the courts. Cases,
Yes.
rape cases,
Yes.
actually.
Yes.
How do we communicate about these cases, about the victims, about everything in these cases?
Yes.
What language do
Yes.
we use?
And this is the most recent book, right?
Yes, it's the next book actually. I have 3 books coming
Right,
out,
right.
But writing nonfiction, which I haven't been doing on this residency because this was a fiction residency.
Yes.
I discovered a huge difference that, doing fiction, I can work on many projects at the same time.
Yes.
Because as you also know, I think, you get ideas and you can explore it and you can maybe do one thing one day and then the next day you do another thing.
Yes.
But I discovered that doing nonfiction, I cannot switch in that way because it's a whole different way.
Yes.
Yes. So that was the main difference for me, that I really need, I cannot use my fantasy.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So very, very wonderful. And I'm looking forward to the book that's going to come out because I think we need to talk about sexual violence, and we need to talk about it because there's so much of it happening that no amount of work is enough.
No,
you have to keep doing that. So
exactly. Yes.
And I agree with you when talking of the second, the point that when you write different forms, because I write haiku, haibun, free verse, novellas, short stories, novels, and screenplays. And what I notice is that you can never have a writer's block if you're writing so many projects and like pursuing so many themes and so many worlds, because if one doesn't give in or relent for the day, you can always do another one.
Yes.
And you're in a continuous flow, because I feel that to reach a state of flow is to not be consciously aware of time. So similarly, the water is borderless, that flows underneath the thing. So I like the flow, the aquifer, wherein everything merges. I don't think of an idea like a haiku or a novel or a screenplay. Everything is the same thing. It's life.
Yes.
It's life and existence. And then something might come for this and something might come for that. Therefore, a screenplay can be a poem, and a poem can be a story.
Yes.
And a story can be a haiku, and the haiku can be a novel.
Yes.
And everything is interchangeable.
Yes. Yeah. So did you try to make the same story?
Yes.
Or the same theme?
Yeah.
Various forms?
No, but actually themes,
give it various forms.
but themes actually do continue, right? Because I call it the leitmotifs of thematic spectrums. So the leitmotif is a theme that you keep coming back to.
Yes.
There are many writers who change their themes with every book or every new work, and there are those writers who keep coming back to the same themes.
Exactly.
I think you come back to the same themes when they are unresolved with you.
Yeah.
Okay, my next question, Lærke, to you is, how has Denmark affected your writings and your thinking? Would you have been the same person writing on the same theme if you, say, were born and brought up in India?
Wow, that's really interesting. I think we are more stressed in Denmark because when I see stress situations here in India, the situation can be stressful, but the people are not stressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's very fundamental, and that says a lot about how the world affects you, and how you let the world affect you.
Right.
Of course, we also have our own personal experiences that can have happened in our life, from us, other things that have been out of our hand, so that affects us as well.
Yes.
But definitely, I think I would have been different growing up in India.
Okay.
What I can say is that from I was 16.
Yes.
I have been living on and off in Spain, and I actually have a book coming out.
Oh, wow.
Andalucia in my eyes. Andalucia, the south of Spain.
Yes.
because something very strange happened when I was 16.
Yes.
I knew that I had Spanish cousins, like a little far out in
Yes.
the family. So I always wanted to learn Spanish and go there.
Yeah.
Then I had the opportunity to go and live with a family, a Spanish family, but in another part of Spain than where my family lives.
Yes.
But the sense I had, that's what I want to say, is that I just had the sense of coming home.
Yes.
That I belonged there.
Yes.
More than I do in Denmark. And that didn't leave me, that sensation. So that's also why I'm writing about Andalucia. So the thing about feeling a lot like a Dane, I'm not even sure I have it. Because there I also feel sort of different. I feel more at home in Spain.
Right. Wow. And that's so interesting to speak about home and where is home, right?
Yes.
I mean to say, when we are global citizens and we can live and travel in every corner or every city of
you have
our
traveled
country,
a lot too.
Yes, and the world.
Yeah.
Where is home? And you know, this is such an interesting question, not just for people who are travelers and flaneurs, but also for people who are exiled and people who are forced to live in different countries, refugees and climate refugees. You know, I think a lot about what is home, like, because we have migration as a very core phenomena that's happening in our world.
Yes.
But when I think of it, I think would I have been a different writer had I been in a different country? Most certainly, because the thing is that when I'm in India, when I'm in the cities of India, like say Bombay, like I have a book called Bombay Hangovers.
Yeah.
It's a collection. It's a collection of 16 short stories, and it is because the hangover is not from vodka or whiskey or gin.
No.
The hangover is from people.
Yes.
Because it's a memory hangover. It's the way you know, people come into your life, and in Bombay you have plenty of people.
Yes.
In India you have plenty of people. So they are almost a gallery of humanity. And they come and go in your life, and they never really go. Because you're hungover, and then you need to get that hangover out. And as a writer, my hangover comes through just writing.
Yes.
And so I had to write that book because I had to get out of that hangover. I needed a new hangover.
Yes. So the hangover is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing in this case.
Yes.
It's a very good thing to be obsessed, actually, so that you could write your obsessions out.
Yes.
Yeah. And the main question is, why do you get obsessed as people? Why are we hung over something and not over something?
Yeah.
Why does something stick and something not stick?
Yes, exactly.
So, so I think for me, the cities of India have shaped my way of navigating through it as a woman also.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we, in our country at least, we are very aware of being women.
Yes.
Than in other places.
Yeah.
In many places, you feel maybe happily invisible, or maybe safe of being a woman. But in India, in many places, you are always glanced as a woman.
Yes.
You can never forget you're a woman.
No.
Because it could be street harassment, or it could be plain admiration.
Yes.
Or it could be that you might just get a little special treatment.
Yes.
Or it could be that you could be eve-teased.
Yes.
Whether it's good or for bad, but you can't forget that you're a woman in a city. So for long, my perspectives were the woman in the city, then it was a citizen in the world, and then it was an atom in the galaxy.
Wow.
Because you, wherever you can dream is home.
Yes.
And just as much as you inhabit places, places also inhabit you.
Yes.
So there are many cities, countries inside me.
Yeah.
Just like I am in them.
Yes.
So we are into each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even if you are here right now, you still carry maybe Iowa, the
Goa,
and
Mumbai.
Yes.
Even Chennai now. Chennai, I think, is becoming part of my heartbeat because it's such a different place, and there are so many gorgeous friends here.
Yes.
That and I met new people. So I think it's becoming more and more gorgeous. So this city will also be a part of my heartbeat now.
Lovely.
Okay, so I just wanted to know, what are the themes you most visit as a writer in Denmark or in the world, and why?
The themes I mostly visit, they all have some sort of society angle to them. And psychological. I know that you can say that about everything, but you know, how can you say it? To the little hard side of life, the little sad side, the stories that I'm not often seen, because you know the poverty out in the open.
Yes.
That
yes.
I'm also writing about that in my Spanish book, but I also really like to reveal what we don't see.
Right.
Because you know, people can be poor having a lot of money,
yes,
and people can be very rich,
yes,
having no money.
right.
So the thing about what we might also feel, I think that is really glorious,
right,
having that life.
Right.
It might not be
yes,
like that.
yes.
So I like to tell the stories that are not like they seem. So I think it has a touch of that.
That's so interesting, actually. So your topics and themes come from those things which are invisible, not in plain sight.
Yes.
And those things which are maybe hidden secrets, so they are layers that are nuanced.
Yes.
That are not out there. Tell us more.
Well, in my first book, I which is called Out by the Mailbox, which is letterbox, as you know it in India. It was about, because you know, I thought, okay, I want to write something about my childhood, but then I thought, okay, I didn't feel like writing a lot of private stuff,
right?
What was going inside or on inside. So I thought, okay, why not go outside? And then I wrote like 50 small texts, like poems, about the atmospheres outside and what I observed as a child. And that was all those types of people. You could sense who was alcoholic, even that they were hitting it. You know, because children see everything. So all the things that was not clear, but you could feel them anyway. I wanted to write about that. And that was just, you know, in that book. But also in my book about Andalucia, I write about you know, that southern part of Spain. And there we mostly know that part, or many does, as because of tourism. And you know, just travels and beers and parties and all of that. And what I wanted to show was migration, the migration part, because it's the southeast part of Europe. And you know, for example, in Denmark, where I'm from, we're very clever. Oh, we can just solve the whole world. Or they should do this and that with the migration problem. But you know, it's easy and totally free to say that. They are, you know, Spain is very used to this problem and has to think much more concrete. How do you handle it? And you might not see all of these people from Africa, from the north of Africa, when you go to Costa del Sol. But I wanted to show that also, that side of it, because Europe is the dream for many migrants. And what happens when they actually arrive to Europe? Because many don't even arrive. But I wanted to write about that, how they blend into that tourism culture. And you don't often see, you see some signs, but I wanted to reveal more. Yes.
And what about your third book?
My third book is about also fiction. It's about children and young people in conflict cases when the parents are divorcing. How do you handle?
This is still fiction, though.
This
is
still
based
fiction.
On, real
based
life.
On my, well, it's based, I have some own experience about that myself, but I also have know a lot of kids and also have observed a lot of adults, because what happens is that adults become very egocentric, that they forget to see the perspective of the child. So I wanted to make some literature from the child's perspective, how hard it is to be suddenly a part of that conflict, because
and very needed, I feel.
So it has been interesting, and I was like thinking about what effects should I use, how should I. So I went to talk with some psychologists also, because I wrote it first. I wrote it, and then I went to talk about the manuscript with some psychologists, working with children, and they said we really need a book like this.
Right.
And then I said I want to make like I want it to be illustrated, because also many things.
Yes, children,
I shouldn't
right?
put the word into the child.
Yes.
They should be able to use their own words, and the whole magical illustration side can actually do much more than words.
And also because I think we cannot lose the childlikeness in us, the wonder in us, the innocence in us, and that comes from simple things like illustrations and visual information.
Yes.
Yeah, more than just text.
So, and I haven't chosen an illustrator yet. Yeah. I'm going to do that with the publisher. So
I think it's also a relief to the eye, right? Because you're reading so much of text these days that you just need caesures and breaks and pauses. Yeah, exactly. Which visuality allows you that. Okay, so if I have to talk about the same question,
please.
The themes that I visit and revisit. So I think when I was only a poet, I think I used to visit each and every theme, every abstract theme, every concrete theme. It could be anything that caught my fascination. Somebody walking on the road, a story of an old man.
Can I ask one thing? Yes. When did you start to write things down? You know, as you say, you started watching something modern. You know, you just couldn't help not to write it down. I want to hear about that.
But you know, I was never planning to be a writer poet.
No.
I don't think you plan these things, or at least I couldn't plan. I'm totally an accidental writer poet, but I was always a dreamer.
Yes.
And I was an observer. So we come from a large Goan Catholic family. We lived in Kalyan, in a small town near Bombay, which is now no longer a small town. It was a small town then when I was growing up. Now it's...
Was it in the countryside or the suburbs? Or
it's suburbs.
Yes.
Suburbs. It's a satellite city, so to speak.
Yes.
And a lot of my small town stories always start in Kalyan. Even if they have different names, they're always Kalyan.
Yes.
Right? So I visit and not visit the place as well. Yes. And I understand small town India so well because I came from one of the satellite cities.
So all the dynamics
and also the aspirations of big city.
Yeah.
And now, as I say, the big city is the big world. The city is now the big world.
Yes.
And the village is the small cities. So I would consider Bombay a village.
Ah, yeah.
And the world the city.
Yeah.
And I think once you live through the world, it will become a village, and then you will say the galaxy or the space is the city.
It expands.
And you would so understand the people who are going to space now to kind of conquer space.
Maybe you should go on a residency.
I should go to Jupiter or Mars. Yeah, perhaps. The new international writing
They need some female writers there.
Absolutely, yeah. And never age there, right? Because there's no aging there. So you come back young. You come back young. But I'm saying, so it definitely was that I was a dreamer and I was a very good observer. I can read people. So I think I never concentrated as much. I was not a library kid.
No.
I was a loner. I was an introvert. I had few best friends, but I was an avid dreamer.
Wow.
Okay, so while I would be scoring very high in school, like I was a first ranker or third ranker.
Wow.
But I was always dreaming outside the window. I was always dreaming somewhere else.
Yes.
And if I was not dreaming, I was observing people, and most importantly, my family.
Yes.
I have shared the poem Gathering from my book 4 Degrees of Separation in Pondicherry University.
That. Yes.
That is my family. And that family is nuts. It's crazy. It's mad. It's very Goan, and it's adorable. And I only shifted their names, but it's the same thing. And I think I watched a lot of people. Even the Bombay Hangovers is about the hangovers of people. So I think people do enter me like liquid alcohol from a bottle.
Yes.
Yeah, they just enter me like that. I get intoxicated with them. And so that was always there with me. I was never the so-called reader in the library.
No.
Yeah, but I was picking books which are people from the library of life.
Yes.
So every person is a book for me.
Yeah.
Every person is a very large epic saga for me.
Yeah.
And I believe in Genesis and Terminus.
Yes.
You know, where are they coming from? Where are they going? It has always interested me, no matter who the person is.
Yes.
And I think that my themes then have come from watching life, social life, a woman's life, maybe I have met many male protagonists, so even male life. It has even moved from, like my themes were first personal, they were private life, there was family, relationships.
Yes.
Then they started becoming social, with social issues involved, all kinds of social issues, not necessarily only the dark ones.
No.
Even the funny ones, even arranged marriages, even those crazy things. Because, I come from a crazy family of Goan Catholics. So there is that craziness.
And you had the language, betting days.
Yes.
Betting stories.
You know that, betting days. So I like the craziness, and I love the craziness that's there in Indians. Indians are very crazy.
Oh, lovely.
We do something called jugaad. And jugaad means...
I already laugh.
Yes. And jugaad means that you can put two and two things together and make it done. Okay, like for example, I must tell you this. We make something called lassi in the northern parts of India.
Yes.
It's a milk drink which has got sugar and cream, and you make it like a whipped smoothie kind of a thing.
Yes.
Now you do it in a mixer, right? Or a fruit blender.
Yes.
But in India, somebody had already invented the washing machine to make it.
What?
Yes, it churned for everybody in a washing machine.
Oh my God.
I consider that to be high level, innovative jugaad. It
really is.
We do plenty of this. We have, I think we have one of the most, we are a country of startup culture where people don't even know they're entrepreneurs, and they may have inventions like these where they don't even patent it.
Wow.
But they would be fixing something.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's called jugaad.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. So I just love this crazy culture that some people might just get by with some very innovative way of how to manage this.
I just, the other day, I heard a Danish example of jugaad. It was a Danish, he's a film producer, and I listened to a podcast, and he talked about his cap, his hat.
Yeah.
How he just discovered that putting it into the dishwasher machine.
Yes.
That was just the perfect way. So he washed his cap a few times a week in the dishwasher.
Wow.
So that is jugaad.
Yes. So I think this peculiarity or this comicality of Indians, I love to watch that. You know. So I think I'm not just a watcher of. I'm like a Mario Miranda watcher. Like, the Mario Miranda was one of the legendary cartoonists of Goa. And if you look at his cartoons, they have every character is so funny. He brings out the most caricaturist, funny element of characters. And I think I like that distortion. Where is the funny in this person? If everything is gorgeous and beautiful, is painful, sorrowful, but where is the funny
part?
So I think I also come back to this idea of hasya rasa, which means out of the 9 emotions of the Navarasas of India, which is from our old ancient script called the Natya Shastra. You have one of the emotions being comic. Where you know how to laugh at yourself and at society.
That's really important.
And society also knows to laugh at itself. And I think a society that laughs at itself does well. A society that takes itself too seriously, that ends up becoming a moral police, trolls, and unnecessary bans and boycotts. You must know how to just chuckle at yourself and take it lightly. So I think these are the themes that have affected me. I also am very, very curious about sexuality in India. And I mean to say sexuality in both cases. It could be sexual violence, which is horrendous, which is spirit shattering, which is soul shattering, but also the sexual comedy that is there in society merged into something called the arithmetic of breasts, where I just have a male protagonist who marries this woman for her breasts.
Wow.
He's in love with her breasts. The first 2 pages are all about the breasts. And then he marries her, and then we move from lust slowly to love. Slowly, where he doesn't see her breasts.
Wow.
Right? So we move from the arithmetics of it to beyond it, audience. So I like this whole layers that are there in the Indian society between what can be told and what cannot be told. And what cannot be told makes for super comedy. Because, like you said, right, what is hidden? Whatever's hidden actually is fodder for comedy. And if you could do that well, it's a riot. So,
and also you wrote about, actually many times, the way of speaking English can actually be much more sexual, but without warning it. So it's just it's a little funny, you know, because actually if you hide the word breasts, but you say like Sony erection,
Sony erection.
What is worse, you know?
Sony erection phones is a phrase from my crazy poem Bedding Day, where I have enjoyed Indian English which is done in the bizarre way. So that's another thing about how English is spoken across the countries, across the cities in India, and how they have made it so funny. Very funny. We call it crazy Angrezi, but they've made it funny, and they made it their own. Actually,
I love it. It really creates good times and smiles.
Yes, absolutely. And also you learn to celebrate the idea that you don't need to take post-colonial hangovers of a corseted language where it is straight-jacketed and you need to speak English in that particular way. You can fuck it up. You can bastardize
you are allowed to do it because you have your own.
So that you make it your own. It's not the colonizer's language anymore. It's my language. And it's our language. And we bring in multilingualism into it, multiculturalism into it. And we fuck it up royally and we enjoy that. And that's the pulao and biryani. So I have many themes, sexuality being one, then love is another one. Then that is when I have been a poet, a short story writer, the city and everything. When I became a screenwriter, I realized that the genres can expand a lot. So the themes then start refracting and fragmenting through genres. Because I was never a thriller writer. But I can be a good thriller writer. I was never so much of a romance comedy writer. Like I was more like a sexuality or an erotica writer. Or a serious relationship writer. But here the film world allows you and welcomes you to be a romance comedy writer. Because it wants you to laugh and cry. So I have become more of a storyteller or a different storyteller once I met a different form. So I feel that talking about themes, the maximum amount of themes that I have explored is as a screenwriter. Maximum amount.
Wow. I agree with you that it opens up to other genre. I also wrote, you know, another literary text, which is becoming a screenplay now.
Do you want to tell us something about it?
Well, I just agree what you're saying about the mix, because actually it's both very funny, but also very scary at the same time. And exploring that in a visual way, thinking in pictures and not in words, because what is the biggest difference in between the literary text and the screenplay is that all the inner lives of the characters has to be shown. And I think that transformation is really, really interesting. So I'm having meetings with the producers, and you know that whole transformation is so interesting, and I'm in it right now as well. So I'm just looking forward to it, because
wonderful. Congratulations.
The mix, thank you, and to you as well. The mix of that you don't have to choose, because the themes can be mixed if they can be shown. And that's a funny and very interesting process.
Okay, tell me what were your impressions and what did you learn from the Kurindan International Writers Program? Because this was just a 1 month, but I think it was more than a month. It seemed like more.
It seems like a long time, and you know, both of us, we didn't really know what to expect, because it's the first time it has been done. So in that way, it has been very much adventure. Like an adventure, but also, you know, maybe I learned. Well, first of all, I want to say thanks for meeting you. It has been a great inspiration, and I feel a really special connection with you. And I just hope one day that I can also show you Denmark.
I would love to come to Denmark.
Because then I would take you to literary places. We could make some readings, stuff, you know, everything. So I really hope that we'll just continue the contact. It has been a great
I hope I would visit Denmark someday.
We had laughs. We had like very serious talks, and you know, the inspiration has been branching from you know everything. I think it has been very, very good. And but the thing about the residency, for me, it has been challenging because it wasn't like very structured.
Right.
Maybe some writers do like that.
Right.
But I also think that, traveling and staying at places to write, it's also about learning yourself.
Right.
To know.
Right.
To get to know yourself.
Yes.
And I have learned a lot about myself and about my own limits, because, to travel a lot in 1 month can for me be a bit confusing.
Yes.
But maybe for others it's a good thing. Right. So I also think that a residency can teach you a lot of stuff about yourself.
Yes.
And also, that was also what I wanted to say about it's so beautiful that you take parts from nature and some elemental, like water, fire, nature, if elemental stuff from nature. Yes. And you compare.
Because we are made of nature.
Yes,
exactly. We are river
so we
and
can
sea.
use that in ourselves.
We are fire and earth and mud and wood
and water.
Yes, and mineral and everything. We are the earth
and air.
Yes, we are. And so when I came to this residency, it was not. It was a new residency, so it didn't have the structure or the itineraries or the schedules which I have got so used to, like knowing what's going to happen and when.
Yes.
Not very how do you say, very strictly, but sketchily, like some schedule and all. So, but I think this is the first residency, and it's only going to get better with the new years that come and the new participants that come. And I think it will get better. Yes. But I'll tell you the three learnings, or if I can remember, the epiphanies that I had when I was in Kodaikanal. One epiphany was very simple. I had got nearly 5 rejections while I was in Kodaikanal for different projects, because I do so many projects, right? Yes. And I pitch to so many places.
Yes.
So in a day I can get 5 rejections.
Yes.
And they are like bullets, and you have to take them on your chin, because you can't run away from them.
No.
It's not 1 rejection, it's 5 at a time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, 5 rejections for the day, no worries, I'll blink and I will keep doing my work, rolling on. But I felt very well cocooned in my room in Kodaikanal.
Yes.
And I realized something very funny and fundamental about me. As you said, that wherever we go, we learn about ourselves.
Yes.
And what I learned about me is my response to stimuli, whether it's positive or negative, is to write another story.
That's so productive.
I cannot respond as a storyteller in any other way.
No.
I can't stop. I can't get depressed. I can't give up on life. I cannot get resigned. I cannot go to the margins and say, enough, I'm not doing anymore.
No.
I don't want this struggle or this path.
No.
I'm stopping. My response to a favorable or unfavorable stimuli is write another story. So whether I'm happy or I'm sad, I will write another story.
So it's a safe and sure place to I'm lacking the word.
It's a fundamental thing I realize about myself as a storyteller.
Yeah, I know.
That it will be.
But you always have that place to go to.
Yes.
To get it out.
Yes.
That was what I meant.
Yes.
That it's a stable place that you have.
Yeah.
No matter the outer. Things.
Yes, that's what I realized. No matter what, my response would be this. This is one thing. The other thing I realized in sitting in that wonderful cocoon of Kodaikanal, with sometimes a thunderstorm lashing in the sky, or some rain, and
the electricity went out.
Yes, the electricity going and coming, the mist that was floating like a steam in a coffee cup, and all those kinds of things. And sitting there in that extreme seclusion, I also realized about something about time. I am a fan of time and quantum time, because all your projects take time. The publishers and the producers take time.
Yes.
Life takes time.
Yeah.
Everything takes time.
Yes.
Right? A seed takes time to become a tree.
Yes.
A tree takes time to become a sage. A sage takes time to become a star. A star takes time to become God.
Yes.
Right? So everything takes time. So what I realized is that I don't have to hurry with anything. I don't have to remind myself about my mortality.
No.
I don't have to think, okay, this is my expiry date and I'm gone by 80 or 90. Or, oh, this project has been submitted. What is going to happen about it? Why have they not responded? No. If creative projects take their time, their quantum time, and they will happen when they happen.
Yes.
A story has its destiny.
Yes.
For me, it's like a letter or an inland from the universe.
Yeah.
You write it, you close it, you seal it, and you send it.
Exactly.
And whoever opens it, whenever it opens, it's the destiny of that, the time destiny of that story. So you don't have to worry as a storyteller, ki, oh, when is this happening? Why is this not happening? When will it happen? No, that desperation needs to be done away with. You answer to the eternality of a project with your immortality.
That's
and
beautiful.
That is how you expand time. You live like an immortal. And you live with eternality and eternal flow, creative flow. So you just keep doing your work. And things will happen when they have to happen. I think I've become more trusting of not just the conscious, controlled elements, but all that unconscious, subconscious elements of life, serendipity, luck. You just leave it to the universe.
And also because your projects will be here much longer than you. So yes, I also, my experience is that you cannot, if you decide to figure that out, it's not possible. My first book, I wrote it 10 years ago, the text. And then suddenly I decided, no, I would send it out. And I've also said no, actually, to a publisher wanting to, they wanted most of the hard, a little tragic stories. But, you know, for me, it was important that it contained both tragic and funny stuff, because I think the funny part is really important. So by saying no to them, I said I had to be true to the book, to the text. So that's also a thing that I've learned. You know, don't worry, don't be tempted to get it out fast. If you have to correct something that you don't feel is right, then wait, because it will. There is a road for the project, and the other text that you know is becoming a screenplay. I also wrote it many years ago, and so the travel of your work, as you say, you cannot plan it. It has its own destiny, and that is also very interesting, because you don't own it in that way.
And also, thank you for mentioning this, because it's the same thing that I remember. My short story Catharsis was written 10 years ago. It was a short story of the two women shoplifters and the earrings.
Exactly.
And only now,
with the earrings.
And only now when Prakriti Foundation announced 10-minute short play contest, I adapted it to a short play. I sent it, and the directors and the actors were very happy to do it in Tamil. They do it in Tamil, and it becomes a award-winning, prize-winning for the writer. Thank you for the writer, for the director, for the actors, for all
amazing.
of us. And not only that, when I go back to think, I realize 10 years ago, I would have never imagined that this story would travel to become a play on a stage.
No.
In Chennai, in Tamil.
Exactly.
Never, never, never. When I did it, I published it in some obscure place. I liked what I did. I forgot about it. I went to my next story. So I realized that you may write in a certain sequence, but it doesn't mean your first novel is your first novel published.
No.
Your third novel might be your first novel published. Your 10th screenplay might be your first film. So I realized also that you have to break through the sequence that you think is there. Time is not what you think it is.
And also the text that you write that you don't know actually, or just the ideas. Save them also, always. Because you might have, when you take the notes or write the idea, you might have an idea of it becoming a book. But then if you stop and you don't know what to write or anything, save it, because then suddenly you might know, oh, this should be a screenplay.
Absolutely.
Because you didn't see that from the start. So that's also my point to
keep
add about the time, the magic of time. That to leave stuff for a while is always good, because it clears your eyes.
Right. Very interesting. And so then you can see it differently, right? You see the idea differently. And also the treasure.
Because you are never the same. You live, and then you see something more, then you might do a screenplay, and then you see it with some new eyes.
Absolutely.
So time is always your friend.
Yes. And also I think the relationship of an artist is between time, their art, and themselves. Because our self-realization is the journey. And that's why it can never be a rat race, because it's always your journey to the sunset. And it's your,
and you're not comparing, it's not a competition,
self-realizations, your self-realizations, which will add to your art and evolve with art and time. Yeah, so wonderful, so wonderful. So I think that has been my experience with this residency. I had fun in Dindigul, in Madurai, in Chennai, in Kodaikanal, because they were all different places.
Yes.
And I got to interact with you, with Klaus, with we met Maya.
Yes.
And we like I met the brothers Anand and Vijay.
It has been very eventful and fun also.
Absolutely, very soulful, very energetic, very I don't know, life revealing.
Yes.
You know, I was very happy even to interact with Vijay Krishnaswamy and Anand Krishnaswamy.
Yes, yes.
Because they were not on the syllabus, man. They were not on the schedule.
No.
And it is so nice to meet them because they are part of the partnerships of this residency.
I really loved also being on stage.
Yes. At the Pondicherry.
At Pondicherry University. It was a great experience, and the energy we had from the stage, I enjoyed being there.
Yes.
And I enjoyed all the energy from the audience and the students. Very, very interesting.
Coming to that, what are your future projects?
Yes, my future projects, you know, I have the 3 books coming out. So of course the process with the, you know, I finished the non-fiction book, so it takes always a little time before it comes out. I think it will be out like in February.
Yes, okay.
More or less.
Wonderful.
And then the Andalusian book, we are still waiting. We don't know yet exactly when, because we want to make a very beautiful book. There's a painter called Torbjørn Beckman, who has made like paintings for the book.
Yes.
So it's like an art book also, showing his paintings. Paintings. He also lived or visited Andalucia many times. So I chose him because he has that Spanish relation also, and also because his paintings are reflecting the special light that exists in front of Africa in the south of Spain. I'm not able to say when that comes out.
Okay.
And then, you know, the children book about the conflict cases, it's still in process because, you know, I need to choose an illustrator, all of that. So there will be many surprises, even to myself, with those projects. And to tell one other future project is the movie project. I'm having a lot of meetings now, so I'm just looking very much forward to that. And just a little thing about another book project is that it's also something hidden. It's about suicides and how the families that have experienced to lose people to suicide often find it hard to talk about, and that's understandable. But I think that there's a need for stories from inside the families, because a lot of times we talk about how it is taboo in the society, but my personal experience is that it's very much a taboo in many of the families, inside the families as well.
Right. So these are very important and very different books, and I congratulate you, and we are looking forward to the release whenever they happen. Whether
I invite
film
you.
Or, yes, absolutely. And I think I'm definitely coming to Denmark someday. I can sense that instinctively.
I really hope
someday. I don't know when, but it's there on my life landscape.
I would love to be your host.
Oh, I would love that.
But I would also like to hear about your future projects.
Yes. So my future projects are, as I said, they will not go in sequence. So I do have 15 screenplays that are developed. Okay, they are between the genres of rom-com to social drama.
Yes.
Like I have one story, which was my first one, which was about 3 women around the garment and fashion industry.
Ah, yes.
So you have
the ones traveling with the dress, or
yes. So you have one brown coat.
Yes.
Which is the 4th character.
Yes.
Okay. And there are 3 women. And they are around the global supply chain of fashion and garment. So there is one in Davanagere, Bangalore. She's in the export, and she has her own story. She's in the export business.
Yes.
She's the one who has the cloth.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when the cloth goes to become goes through the cut, trim, and make model.
Yes.
The cloth goes to Dhaka, where it is cut and designed into a coat.
Yes.
Okay. And there you have Bailey Rahman, and you have her story. She's a seamstress, She has her own life.
Yeah.
And then the court suddenly ups its price because of the global supply chain. So from,
Wow.
the developing countries to the developed countries,
Yes, yes.
the court suddenly becomes huge and expensive, hugely priced and expensive. And it goes to, it's bought by a starving size 0 model in New York.
Wow.
And she's walking the ramp, but she's very thin, and she uses the coat actually to give her warmth and comfort.
Yes.
And it's a very highly premium priced coat.
Yes.
It's called The Brown Coat, the name of the story.
Yes.
And we look at her story, her love life, her inner life, her struggles and her triumphs. So we follow the lives of these 3 women in 3 different countries.
Through a coat?
Through a coat.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it's called A Brown Coat. And I have got, I've secured 30% funding by World Cinema Partners.
Wow.
We are waiting for co-production. So if it doesn't happen there, we want to move the New York part to any European country that can give us the funding.
Yes.
Because we want to make it a global supply chain kind of story about a coat and fashion, and more than that, about women's lives.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was my first project, and it was also an NFDC shortlist project. It was also, it won the screenplay won the Atlanta Film Festival screenwriting competition, quarter finalist it was.
It's amazing.
Yeah, but it is taking time to find financiers and producers.
Yes, yes.
So that apart, but I have other projects which are thrillers, which are medical thrillers. Like there's one based in Kunur.
Yeah.
Which is in south of India. And then I have a crazy Goan family. How can I not have the DaCosta family? That's this crazy Goan family who think they are Portuguese mafia, but they are just Gali ka gunda.
Ah, the ones with the guns.
Yes.
With the fake guns.
With the fake guns and no bullets in it. And complete crazy, whacked out, the Mahabharat of the Goan family.
Wow.
Okay. And they're all whacked out. And you have Rita DaCosta, who's 70, and she wants all the property and the wealth, and she ties with her daughter-in-law Annette to get all that.
Very speculative.
Yes. And the name is called the DaCosta family. That also is my second novel.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a novel and a screenplay, because there's so much to write about.
Yes.
There was so much that it couldn't go in the film alone. It had to be written.
Yeah.
The interiority of the characters and all. So I have many projects like that. Some rom-coms, some time travel rom-coms. I have 15 projects.
Wow.
So these are being pitched to different producers and all, and I'm writing more. I will be going home in November to write a sex comedy.
Yes.
Because I think it's very needed, very needed. And I'm also writing. I'm also writing a project based on karma and the karmic calculator and karmic debts that are there.
Yes.
And genetic memory.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is very different.
Yes.
These two are very different projects. But then I like to dabble with completely different topics and completely different like I think I don't know what I'll do next. I don't know what I'll do in December.
I'm happy for that, because it will be so surprising.
Absolutely. Like,
wow.
Yeah. And I had a slight blur, or a slight bit of questions from life. Okay, what's happening to my projects? Not in a hurried or a desperate way, but just the fact that, okay, like I've written so many, I'm pitching them, what's going to happen? And I happened to meet my friend director Ram yesterday, and he said something so sensible. He said, when I make a film, I don't think what will happen after that. I enjoy making the film.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
So he gave me this beautiful advice. He said, don't worry of what happens after the pitching.
No.
When things happen, you see that you grow and you emerge and transform.
Yes.
And become a new person with every story.
Yes.
And enjoy that storytelling.
Yes.
Enjoy that script. Don't worry about what happens after that.
No, because then you will not be in the moment.
Yes. And don't ever worry about it.
No.
He said, because this is an uncertain industry.
Yes.
You just don't know what happens.
No.
So what you know is your story world and your scripts. Enjoy them.
Yes.
And I think there's a big philosophy in that, because I think that's the best way to be.
Yes.
As a creative person, rather than worry about things that are not in our control.
Exactly.
Do what is in your control. Enjoy it so thoroughly, almost spiritually and philosophically. Enjoy it and grow from it, and leave the world.
That's
and to hell with what happens after that. To hell with it. Okay.
Really good point.
Okay. And so my last question is, if you have any tips and advice for new upcoming writers in Denmark, in India, anywhere in the world.
Never throw your ideas away, not even the texts, not even the texts you think are bad, because why? They should be respected. Just if you want to hide them, yes, hide them in a little place on your PC, but don't delete them, because they can take many forms in the future. So always treasure your ideas, and be true to your projects. Never be tempted to change anything you shouldn't change. Go to your inner lake and feel if it's right or not.
Yes.
And the thing about time, that you cannot really figure things out. And then another thing is about rejection. I think it's a very good example you gave about the 5 rejections, and to own them, and just to say okay, and carry on. That's the most important thing, that you don't take it in as a part of your worth as a person. You take the rejections, and move on, and treasure the hope and your ideas. That's where your focus should be at. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think I would, of course, I would advise them that they would find nuggets while they are listening to our conversation. There's a lot of advice already implanted in our answers.
Exactly, yeah.
But apart from that, it would just be lose yourself, find yourself, and let life sometimes take on the steering wheel of your vehicle and drive it.
Yes.
You don't want to be driving it all the time.
I think we tried that on this residency.
Yeah. Because you might want to go only to a certain place and a certain distance.
Yes.
And you might get stuck in some ditch.
Yeah.
But if you let life and its flow and serendipity and other things, happy accidents affect you.
Yes.
You don't know, you might be flying in the sky.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't really know. Leave controls.
Yes.
Leave controls and just see, maybe it's going to be a bigger and a better experience.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe we just have to be rolling stones, and those leaves that are flying in the wind, that just go by the trajectory of the wind. You don't control them. You just are a kite that is loose.
Yeah, let yourself
fly
to feel like that, and try that once in a while, and then see what happens,
and just tumble away.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
This is from my book 4 Degrees of Separation, and it's about my nutty family. And as I say, I ask everybody always before, do you gossip about your family?
Yes.
Because I gossip about mine, and they don't read books, so they never get to read this. No. And they don't know this is happening on the terrace on Chennai at the Avtara apartments. They don't know this. And so I think both advice is great. Read books to know if you're in them.
Yes.
And don't read books so you don't know in which you are.
Very good.
Both of them at the same time.
Yes.
It's a simultaneous truth.
Yes, okay. Exactly.
Gathering. My uncle had a strange habit of gathering people. Not less than 25, he would take on an outing. Like Auntie Perpetual with her breasts cut, who would lift her t-shirt every time to show us her story. Avo, that is grandma, who would stand and take a piss like a giraffe. Cousin Milton, who would talk about everyone's pants and panties. Uncle Ketan, who divorced his first wife just before he turned blind and regretted it in hindsight.
Oy.
Or Aunt Bertha, who loved her husband so much, they still bathed under picnic showers and sagging flesh of 40 years. A couple that bathes together, stays together.
Wow.
Aunt Nisa, who starved to look thin and ended up haggard because 1 kg less is not a year younger. And Aunt Alice, who was divorced when that was still a stigma. Uncle Wilfred had one phrase for every occasion in lyrical konkani, aimed to marginalize his opponents who had marginalized him because of his poverty. My father would step further and further away from the kids cycling, as he would from the circle of life and everyone's life cycles. A few spare uncles would always sit on plastic chairs with the chauffeurs and gardeners inaugurating alcohol bottles. Aunt Cassandra would be on a fertility pill, counting milestones of others' children and practicing her lotus-like parenting wisdom. Matilda Aunt orbited around with curries and sorpotel and cutlets fried in rava and cheap sunflower oil. People relished her friendship offerings, but never invited her for their parties. and the servants. Equal of equal on the dinner plates, with their heads full of lice, they wore shots in their bras outside their t-shirts. They smoked beedies, hovered around the male cousins with bronzed cricket ties, and giggled at cousin Milton until they were molested and shunted home. My auntie, uncle's wife, would be interested in every soup and its recipe.
Wow.
Never mind which house or hotel we were in. Nothing escaped her sight, even in daily novenas, angelus, or rosaries. The peas in the pulao bond between Mata and Rosie, the filigreed work on Avo's gold bangles, the salary Jimmy uncle earned, the marks Edith brought home. My uncle would cut long journeys short with church mouse jokes on trains to Goa, with break journeys at Mirage. He would click pictures of Doodh Sagar with as much panache as uncles Fred and Tony beat up their wives, and Auntie Emma stitched her husband's pocket from the opening outside so he wouldn't lend any more money. Every time Edith topped her class, there would be mayhem for all of us, the other children. When she got a job with a heavy pay packet, my aunt searched for zeros in every person, like ingredients in a soup. We had neither high marks nor the money. We were the pariahs, patrons of penury. The day never belonged to us, as our aunt whipped us with her blue-eyed gaze in this room full of people.
Oh, thank you so much, Rochelle.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And that was a great, great conversation, Lærke. I wish you the best with everything.
Thank you. And I wish you also all the best.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.